Greetings to all. Whoa, check that out. What is that? Whoa, it's not even a pimple. That's a spider bite. Just now I'm gonna start shooting webs at the camera. So I am a little bit of a perfectionist. It is a trait of mine that proves to be both an asset and a liability. Now you're probably thinking, you spouter of garbage. That can't be true. It's too contradictory. Oh yeah? Well, is it a contradiction or a paradox? I hereby present my reasoning. My perfectionism is driven by my desire for quality and to reflect what I expect. Mad rhymes. We all know the saying, practice what you preach, for how ugly is the mark of hypocrisy. In whatever I do, I want to do to the best of my capabilities, as a service to God and to fellow mankind. Therefore, I put immense effort into whatever task I commit to, and try to capture the essence of whatever it is that I am trying to execute. For that allows me to be my true authentic self. And I think that's the positive aspect, right? To be passionate in your doings. Doings? Anyways, you get the shindig. I'm sure you catch my drift. My drift. Vroom vroom. I believe it is important to strive for perfection, with strive being the key word. But that's just the thing. We should strive for perfection because we are not actually perfect. So all the concepts I envision and execute in my mind are not always the easiest to translate into reality. To have an idea or a plan up here in the old nut, but being unable to govern it the way you expect to is so incredibly draining for me. And that's because I tend to have a specific purpose driving me. So being unable to carry through with whatever goal I have in mind can be pretty soul crushing. Now, obviously not minor things. I'm not going to be depressed because I intended on eating McDonald's and I had to settle for Burger King. I'm reigniting the feud. I'm not even taking sides. I like both. I'm just trying to drive my point. And I understand that everyone has to deal with this. It's not just me. Nobody has their plans work out perfectly all of the time, and nobody, at least nobody normal, wants their plan to fail or even change drastically. My particular problem is I tend to become obsessed with trying to materialize any potential that I foresee. And this becomes a little bit of an issue if you don't have the resources or the tools to try and implement that game plan. I sometimes wish that I were more flexible. Occasionally, I would like to not stress so much and be free like the wind. If something doesn't work, just say, hey man, it is what it is. And that's not to say that I'm incapable of reaching that point, but it usually takes me a lot longer to come to this conclusion than it actually should. I tend to linger around for just a little bit too long, clinging to whatever fine thread I can before it all comes tumbling down. However, strangely enough, I rarely worry. I don't need a rigid, unflexible plan in order to maintain peace. I want to be free, with a loose plan, but an ultimate goal in mind. Does that even make sense? I know what I'm trying to say, but I fear for my skills of articulation. Anywho, the point is I made a boo-boo, and now I need to try and fix it. Implement a change of tactics. Living and learning, baby. So I came onto YouTube with probably not the greatest game plan. I started this channel with its primary focus being on movie critiques and maybe analyzing some other things in media. But it was a reflection of just one of my interests. And this is actually something that bothered me because there wasn't a lot of wiggle room and potential for me to be more, me. But I had tunnel vision, being a stubborn little boy, and focused too much on my potential for success, but overrode my potential for satisfaction. So anyways, I said to myself, homie, you're going to do this thing properly, and you're going to shoot into the exosphere of YouTube. Oh boy, how naive I was. They say third time's a charm. Yeah, well, my third upload charmed me into changing tactics. How about that? I was trying to create content that, beyond not being fully me, I didn't have the resources to support. An audience, time, money, equipment are all things that, I don't have in abundance right now. And if I carry on the way I currently am, I'm most likely going to have to close up shop completely. And that's not something that I actually want to do. As I touched on briefly in my last video, this is a channel where we can ideally hop around the plane of content. And I always had this in mind, but I just was a little bit too focused on one main topic. And as much as I love watching and analyzing movies, it isn't something that I want to be doing 24/7. Now, I'm treading on thin ice here because I might have viewers that appreciate my current content. Now, that's not to say that I won't ever be reviewing movies ever again. I am just creating room for other content as well. I want to connect with my audience as a person, not as a market. Before I started the channel, I considered vlogging, but I feel like it's not something that I'm made for. A large portion of my day consists mainly of just thinking and then going to training, so my current routine might not be the most captivating. However, I enjoy storytelling and sharing ideas, events, memories, and so on. I often wake up and the gears upstairs are just spinning away, and I would just love to grab my ink, my pad, and just start scripting away like a hooligan. But up until this point, I've had anxiety of doing so because I was always worried that I was going to be going off theme of the channel. But the channel isn't actually supposed to have a theme. The theme is life, I suppose, and the contents thereof. I'm hoping that I've become aware of this in time and that the adjustments that I implement hereby are the necessary ones. I will be sharing whatever is in the old think tank. Hopefully build an audience, and if there are any suggestions later on, we can dive into them then. But as of right now, prepare yourself for, well, me. I guess the lesson we can take away from this is things don't always roll out the way that we expect them to. I mean, I think that should go without saying. Not every detail of every plan is going to materialize. That isn't the end of the world though, because sometimes we gain insight and perspective through our shortcomings or mistakes. Either that or we realize that the path we have chosen isn't suited for us or our walk in this life. At least you gave it a shot. You'll garner peace of mind knowing that you actually went for whatever it may be. And you won't have those terrible what if moments later on in life. I know so many people who live with regrets of not trying to chase their dreams when they were younger. It is a terrible burden to bear. However, with that being said, do not try and justify an entire change of plans every time things get a little bit tricky. When you start something, do it with the passion and commit to those goals. You are bound to face adversity at one point or another. Be vehement in your works. We are built for hard times and capable of enduring through struggles. At the end of the day, there are only 3 outcomes really. That is success, an adjustment on the way to success, or the realization that perhaps you have to change course. But they will generally come in that order. So be realistic about your goals, but be hard and determined as well. Jeez, what a rant. That's one of my daily spiels, and it won't be my only one. I can tell you that right now. So that's about all I have for now. I don't even know what I'll talk about next. Maybe birds, I don't know. I mean, who doesn't love birds, right? Even pigeons, despite their arrogance. Okay folks, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell to get a heads up whenever I upload. That way you won't miss my bird talk. Thanks Funkies, have a good one. Auf Wiedersehen.